Hey guys, this is Jamie. So I'm without makeup because I had a long weekend and I'm quite tired. But anyway, I tend to sort of not talk much about AI because I don't want to raise more awareness of the fact that I'm very against it. And I do feel like there are people who talk about it in more depth than I do. And I feel like if you're someone who has empathy, uh, you shouldn't be using AI, obviously. So I do feel very conflicted with a lot of people which use sort of AI or ChatGPT or any other form of the AI chatbots as therapy. And in the beginning, I was like, okay, you can use it sort of as a search function, which did a sort of, I used it for a bit. I was trying to sort of see the whole hype, and it was before we had Altman, like the creator of ChatGPT, sort of go insane on right wing and sort of trying to do it in the US government and cater to more right wing people. So obviously before it wasn't as political, and now it became full of sort of openly fascist, really. Now the thing that I want to talk about is the fact that people start seeing it as a form of relationships, boyfriend, girlfriends, partner, and etc. And the thing that caught me really off guard was the fact that there's a subreddit like about boyfriend girlfriends being AI, and I saw threads where someone was saying that they were talking to their AI boyfriends and about loss specifically, and then they says that they hit like a wall which made them feel like their AI boyfriend is dumping them because they told them to not talk to them about loss. And to put it very politely, people need to understand that a relationship is a two-way street. If you're just talking to someone without getting responses, you might just end up talking to a mirror because it's the same thing. And people start forcing the idea or sort of entertaining it that they want someone who will not talk back, who will listen, and etc. But like in my previous video where I talked about empathy and stuff, people don't understand that the beauty of being human, the beauty of relationships is that they can be messy. That's the point. You find someone who you can relate to, who you can mutually understand, who you can discover different things about. Like my love for shooters started even more like from my partner, and like I tell my partner different things. Like we play different shooters together. Um, I play in enormous extents Final Fantasy. Like while he sits and watches, and we have like this enormous exchange of video games or like books, World War II movies, because like we're both insane on World War II. And obviously I come from knowing more of the Soviet side. And we discuss politics. Like there are certain things that we might disagree on, or I might be more passionate about like abortion. My partner might also be like pro-abortion, but I will say like, you know, like when I grew up, it was a non-brainer issue. Like when he's from Brazil, so he didn't have that many sort of thoughts on their discussions. And it's stuff like that. Like the point of a relationship is that you're with a person whose knowledge you want to learn. You want to know their inputs, and And right now we're in an age like where people have Tinder and stuff, and they sort of think like, I want someone who's 3 meters tall, I don't know, has big boobs or like some arbitrary genitals. And people don't understand that at the end of the day, you need to be fall in love with the person, not some characteristics. And the same thing happens with AI. And I feel like if this just further goes into the idea that if you can't find a partner, it even starts boiling down to maybe you should think like, what's wrong with yourself? Like, or what are you looking for? What are you expecting from someone? What are you giving in return? And I feel like sometimes I talk to people, and one thing is like when I'm obviously like in a psychological setting and I'm there to listen, but sometimes I can be friends with someone and it won't be a mutual sort of give back. And that is very critical. And I remember like discussing it with people, and in general, when you go for therapy yourself, like about friendships and stuff, you need to understand that you need to have boundaries. You need to also respect the other person's boundaries. So this whole idea of someone thinking that their AI boyfriend or whatever is dumping them because they don't want to talk about loss also focuses on the fact that they're not taking no for an answer. Or like they were saying, like, use all the chat logs to put in a different one, which will still talk to you about loss. And then it just defeats the purpose even further. Like, so you're saying that the loss that your AI bot replied to that they don't want to talk about because they're programmed not to talk about it is not your AI boyfriend, and they wouldn't act that way, just makes it even more bizarre, factually, parasocial. Like, you need to be accepting of a person's boundaries, or in this case, fucking AI's boundaries. Because people are just drawn to this idea that a relationship needs to be completely beneficial from their side and not from the partners. So this is really fucking me up. And like I've also I saw like some discussion on Clamp and like manga offers and like chobets, and I just started reading it again. And like we do have this epidemic of loneliness, and we have very strict sort of requirements from men towards women, women towards men, and then you have gay communities, of course, as well. But I feel like in gay communities, at least here where I am, it's a bit more. I feel like, at least in gay communities or like in queer communities, people still love sort of the other or the same gender for what they are. Well, like in straight ones, I feel like there's the unrealistic beauty standards even further. So you end up like, I just keep hearing like this absolute insane bad shit, sort of like that women should be trad wives, and at the same times the women are indulging it and sort of saying like, yeah, like I want to stay at home, provide for my podcast husband. And it would all be great if these people weren't miserable and then weren't divorcing or like just ending up like chugging boxes of Xanax at the end of the day. And people just get this idea that this is how they want their relationship to work, from a very selfish angle and from a very insane trajectory of what they want their relationship to be. And obviously we all can outgrow that, but the problem is people don't do that. And Like, I've been with my partner for like nearly 15 years, and I do understand that, like, me being 31, this is an enormous part of our lives, so even more so. And, like, obviously, we've had our ups and downs, but you need to grow with your partner, you need to be accepting, and you shouldn't be thinking that your partner is a stereotype of a gender. And at the end of the day, you're falling in love with a person, not your perception of a gender either. Which is really confusing that this happens. We have these expectations, and people can go like, straight woman can be like, oh yeah, woman can be anything, or like with men, like we have very narrow views right now. And it ends up just being a parody, a ridicule of gender norms which don't exist but we're imposing out of nowhere, claiming that they're traditional as well. So, on top of that, we have the AI crap and the expectation that a program which is not sentient and is not conscious is gonna do the right thing when it's not. And then when it does the thing that you don't enjoy, people start ridiculing it and going out of their way to degrade it. And it gets even weirder for that. And the current AI that we have is not conscious. Like, and that is a thing that actually, like, pisses me off, because to even acknowledge if someone is conscious, like from a neuropsychological perspective, like you need like to validate from the coma scale, like eye movements, how is the brain reacting, the reaction to stimuli, again, like different brain damage can react in a different way. So a program which is designed to follow certain patterns which cannot be replaced or mimic of a person in this case, which is, since AI is sort of trying to be humanoid, it's not there. It's the same as saying that an 8-ball is sentient if you just put it through a binary code, you know? And yeah, and that pisses me even more off, because I am very sort of a humanities person, so I don't sort of understand that when there are so many factors to put in to reduce it into a simple yes no in a way. So yeah, so that really ticks me off. So in other words, AI is not sentient. If you're relying on a chatbot, you need to get help, factually. Just like I would tell people to get help if they are marrying their pillow. You need to address, why are you struggling to make a connection with a person? And why are you afraid of rejection? Why can't you allow rejection, even from a chatbot? And to go into this delusion that your chatbots would always be there for you when people make mistakes. And the fact that you're going to something that will never say no to you, and then you get angry when it does say no, and then you think that it's not the chatbots because they're not saying no. It's unhealthy behavior, and you really need to get checked factually. So yeah, and on top of that, ChatGPT not being reliable. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope I made this video across. Send it to a tech bro, please. I really don't mind. Have a punch out. Yeah. Very much it. Feel free to leave a comment if you feel so. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to subscribe. I give woke communist takes every week. Thank you very much for watching.